Hi everyone, welcome back to Keystone IAS Academy for your daily editorial analysis from The Hindu dated 14th November 2025. Today we have 5 important articles and all of them are high scoring for UPSC both prelims and mains. Let's break them down in a simple, easy to understand way so you remember them during answer writing. Let's begin. So first article is urgent update. India's October retail inflation appears abnormally low, 0.25%, not because prices actually fell, but due to outdated CPI weightages and a statistical base effect, making an urgent case to revise the consumer price index to reflect real consumption patterns. And this article falls under GS paper 3 Indian economy inflation. It's a direct topic. You can see the previous year questions here which are also directly asked from WPA and CPI, which is very important. Again, coming to inflation, RBI, all these things are very important. So let's discuss what is in the article. So before that, first understand what is CPI and inflation in very simple terms. CPI is basically a basket of goods which contains food, clothes, rent, fuel, transport, medicine, school fees, etc. Each item has a weight based on how much an average Indian household spends on it. So what is CPI? CPI is the basket of goods, which is the collection of goods from food, clothes, all those things. Each item, food has separate weight, clothes has separate weight, like each has separate weight, and based on how much that weight depends from the ஒரு household வந்து எவ்வளோ ஒரு இந்தியன் household வந்து ஆவரேஜா ஒரு குட்ஸ்லயும் எவ்வளோ ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்றாங்கங்கறத பொறுத்து அதோட weight வந்து இருக்கும். ஓவரால் பார்த்தோம்னா தான் what is that called consumer price index. And what is inflation? Inflation is percentage change in the basket's price. அதாவது ஒரு பேஸ் இயர் நம்ம வச்சுப்போம். அந்த பேஸ் இயர்ல இருந்து இந்த கரண்ட் இயருக்கு வந்து எவ்வளோ ஒரு பிரைஸ் வந்து ரைஸ் ஆயிருக்கு அவ்வளவுதான் வந்து இன்ஃப்ளேஷன். ஓகே, ஸோ வாட்ஸ் ராங் வித் திஸ் மந்த்? எதுக்காக இந்த ஆர்டிகல் வந்திருக்கு அப்படின்னா, இந்தியா சிபிஐ ஃபார் அக்டோபர் இஸ் மிஸ்லீடிங். Last October, food inflation was extremely high, 9.7%. So even if food prices are slightly up this year, mathematically they appear negative because the base was too high. What is argued here is, see, on paper, October inflation looks unbelievably low, just 0.25%, the lowest since 2012. But this number is misleading. Why? It's a statistical illusion. It's not a real relief. Why this was told that? Because the base was too high. Okay, so even if the food prices are slightly up this year, food prices அதிகமா இருந்தாலும் கூட அது வந்து நெகட்டிவா தான் காமிக்குது. Why? Because the base வந்து ரொம்ப ஹையா இருக்கு. Okay, I will tell you the example. இப்போ நம்ம வந்து லாஸ்ட் தீபாவளிக்கு வந்து ஒரு 20,000 வந்து ஷாப்பிங்க்கு ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிருக்கோம். This year you spent 10,000. அப்போ it looks like you saved வந்து 10,000. Why? Because base year, அதாவது லாஸ்ட் இயர் வந்து நிறைய நம்ம ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணனால இந்த இயர் வந்து கம்பேர்ட் டு தட் நம்ம கம்மியா ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ண மாதிரி இருக்கும். இதுதான் பேஸ் எஃபெக்ட். ஆல்சோ ஃபுட், இப்போ கன்சியூமர் பிரைஸ் இண்டெக்ஸ்ன்னு எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா ஃபுட் has 46% weightage. Appo when food artificially dips, the entire CPI drops sharply. So why this CPI calculation and why this CPI numbers, all these numbers are important? Because RBI uses CPI to decide interest rates. So a wrong CPI gives wrong signals. Wrong signals means wrong monetary decisions which affects EMIs and loans, growth, all those things follows. So hope you understood this. Yes, here you can see a quick recap on CPI and inflation. So CPI measures retail inflation. Who released the CPI? Who are calculating all these things, which is National Statistics Office, NSO. And what is the current base year we are calculating is 2012 and revision is pending. Then what are the types of CPI? CPI combined is there, CPI rural, CPI urban is there, and food and beverages also already we saw. Food and beverages are approximately 46%. So food inflation drives the overall CPI also. Then RBI's monetary policy is uses CPI combined for inflation targeting. What is this called? Core inflation, CPI minus food and fuel. CPI includes services, WPI mostly doesn't. So these are the few key points which you should remember while writing prelims, because prelims these are the key points there. UPSC can place trap to frame the statement. Okay, so overall what the article says, government says a new CPI series will come next year and it is urgently needed. So CPI revision is what urgently needed, and government, what is government says? Government says the new CPI series will come next year. What the article argues is it is not for next year, it is urgently needed, it is immediately needed is what the article argues. Okay. So coming to the practice question, why does India urgently need to revise its consumer price index? Examine the limitations of the current CPI series, the emergence of statistical distortions and the implications for monetary policy. Yes, coming to the next article, this is something we already covered earlier, so a quick recap. Donald Trump recently hinted at resuming a nuclear explosive test. This is alarming because explosive nuclear testing has been avoided globally for decades. What is the background? That US last tested in 1992, Russia in 1990, China in 1996, and CTBT, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, is still not enforced. Only 9 nuclear armed states today. And all these countries stopped the nuclear testing in the have been said years. So why is now Trump's statement is risky? If the US resumes explosive testing, then it will create a chain reaction, as we already saw in the previous article. And this article what suggests is a new nuclear arms race may start. All this gives the same meaning. Well, like if US panichna, then Russia has to do. Then China then countries like India and Pakistan may also feel pressure to test. So the stability maintained for 80 years becomes fragile. Okay, so for mains and prelims, revise NPT, CTBT, New Start, and India's test, first use policy, nuclear deterrence, all those things which are covered previously in detail in my previous notes. So you can go through that notes also. So coming to the practice question, the recent announcements by the United States regarding nuclear testing threaten to unravel the global nuclear restraint regime. Discuss the implications for global security and India's nuclear posture. Okay, you can write the answer and post them in a Telegram group. And coming to the next article, Maharashtra is preparing for local body elections under Supreme Court supervision. Here what we have to see is related to State Election Commission. What State Election Commission can do, cannot do, and what is the type of body, whether it is a constitutional body, and what are the powers given, what are the article, all those things are very important. So what is the key argument here is, yes, the State Election Commission cannot add names to voter list and delete names. Please note here, SEC cannot add names to voter list and delete names. It cannot add and delete names to voter list. Why? Because the voter list is prepared by the ECI, Election Commission of India, under the Representation of People Act 1950. So what does this SEC actually do? SEC uses the Assembly voter list which was prepared by Election Commission of India. So SEC separately can't add or delete names in the voter list. Okay, then what else it can SEC can do? Breaks it downward, breaks it down ward wise, publishes draft list, invites objections, marks doubtful or duplicate entries. All these things SEC can do, but it cannot add or delete names. So the issues are raised in this article by opposition. What will happen if there are voter list contain duplicate voters, missing names, multiple voters at same address, people placed in wrong ward, bulk registrations, voters from outside the state, all those things, what we will do. These are the issues raised by opposition. Then what SEC says, as the article suggests, how SEC will handle these duplicates. It is by using software filters by first name, middle name, last name, gender, like those filters, and marking duplicate entries, asking voters to sign an undertaking confirming whether they will vote. Okay, so these undertakings are kept at polling booths to prevent double voting. So even with limited powers, SEC ensures the transparency and integrity of local elections is what this article is saying. And for prelims, understanding SEC, ECI and the powers for both of them is very important. It conducts delimitation of votes, election schedule, notification MCC for local bodies, and it cannot add or delete or modify names in voter list. That already we saw. Then SEC decisions can be reviewed only by high courts. That is also a very important point. Then you can see here what is the difference. ECA, as we already know, ECA conducts election for Lok Sabha and state assemblies, and SEC, which is urban and rural local bodies. And few judgments are mentioned here related to SEC that you can go through it. These are very important points for prelims and sometimes from mains point of view also. Coming to the practice question, how is the State Election Commission ensuring free and error-free local body elections? Also discuss the institutional limitations of SEC. So write the answer and post them in our Telegram group. Coming to the next article, WHO's GLASS 2025 report shows that India faces one of the highest antimicrobial resistance levels in the world, driven by misuse of antibiotics, poor surveillance, weak regulation and slow execution of the National Action Plan on AMR, requiring urgent multi-sector action and sustained funding. And it comes directly under the GS paper 3, health and diseases, technology also. Then we have the direct questions asked from this antimicrobial resistance in the previous year, so you can go through the questions here. Yes, coming to the article. Then what is this GLASS report? It is Global Antimicrobial Resistance Surveillance System. It tracks antibiotic resistance across the world. Then what is this antimicrobial resistance? Why it is important? It means bacteria stop responding to antibiotics. Means, let's say for simple infections, cold, we are taking some tablets or some antibiotics. We are taking antibiotics without prescription. Means what will happen, that bacteria stop responding to that antibiotics, it will become resistant. So what happens is these simple infections become untreatable. Okay, and the very important finding which is from WHO says 1 out of 3 bacterial infections in India is resistant to normal antibiotics. Why is this AMR is rising in India? Buying antibiotics without prescription. People are buying antibiotics without prescriptions, then self-medication, not completing antibiotic course, overuse in poultry and animal farming, hospital waste entering water, then pharma pollution, weak enforcement. All these things are the causes of rise of AMR in India, with the data given by WHO GLASS. That is also very important. Then most data comes from tertiary hospitals, meaning we might be underestimating community level resistance. Okay, then one more model is given in the article, which is Kerala model. Kerala has taken strong AMR actions. What are those actions? State Action Plan on AMR, Amrit program bans OTC antibiotic sales, then strong surveillance system, public awareness and antibiotic literacy. So early signs show declining AMR levels. So this is a very good model for the states also. That is what the article is suggesting. Then experts suggest what India needs. What is the way forward? One health approach, humans plus animals plus environment. So one health approach is very much important. There are more labs across the districts, new antibiotic development, strict prescription control, proper waste management, long-term funding, etc. If not controlled, AMR can push India into a post-antibiotic era where normal infection become life-threatening. Why this is very important? If we entered into the post-antibiotic era, then normal infections, we cannot treat this with the normal infections with the antibiotics. That is what the key issue here. Yes, coming to the practice question, India's antimicrobial resistance crisis is worsening despite national frameworks and policies. Discuss the key reasons behind this trend and suggest multi-sectoral measures needed to strengthen antibiotic stewardship. Yes, coming to the last article, the article argues that hepatitis A vaccination deserves higher priority than typhoid conjugate vaccine for inclusion in India's universal immunization program. Given rising susceptibility among adolescents or adults, increasing outbreaks, lack of specific treatment, and availability of a safe indigenous long-lasting vaccine. This is also again same under the GS paper 3 health, diseases, biotechnology, all those things topic. So, what this article says? See, earlier hepatitis A infected children early. Okay, infected the children early and very mild illness, and then we gave vaccine means then it will become as a lifelong immunity. But now with improved hygiene, children are not exposed early. What is happening is adolescents and adults are at risk. In them, hepatitis A becomes severe. So for children, children are hepatitis A infected and there is a mild illness. That's lifelong immunity develop. But what is happening now is adolescents and adults are at risk, and the infection and the symptoms which are severe and can cause acute liver failure. So recent outbreaks happened in Kerala, UP, Maharashtra, Delhi are the examples for this. So why this hepatitis A vaccine needs priority? So why means hepatitis A has no specific treatment existed. Also recent days, in the recent outbreaks, severe cases are registered which can even damage the liver. Indigenous vaccine Biovac A is available. A single dose gives 15 to 20 years of protection, safe, long-lasting, cost-effective, all those things. Vaccine is safe, long-lasting and cost-effective. So compared to typhoid vaccine, hepatitis A has no antibiotic treatment. Disease is now shifting to older age groups. Vaccine is one dose and highly effective. So what this article, from this article, what expert says is start with states showing outbreaks or low antibody levels. Then expand gradually across India, just like earlier UIP rollouts. What is the Universal Immunization Program rollouts? Okay. So in this article, what we have to understand for the prelims perspective is what is this hepatitis and what are the types of hepatitis and which are the treatment is available. Then hepatitis means it's the inflammation of the liver due to infection by virus. Please note here it is a viral disease. Virus, autoimmune conditions also, metabolic liver diseases, toxins and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And there are 5 types of hepatitis. Here you can go through very carefully. This is very much important. Then coming to the practice question, hepatitis A is emerging as a significant public health challenge in India, particularly among adolescents and young adults. Discuss why hepatitis A vaccination deserves priority for inclusion in the universal immunization program. So that wraps up today's 5 articles. Stay consistent, write daily answers and post them in our Telegram group for review. See you in the next session. Thank you.